Hey, hi everyone, welcome back to this video series on Server 2012, Understanding NTFS. NTFS is an option that you have when you are formatting a hard drive. You can format a hard drive for a Microsoft operating system in three ways. File allocation table, FAT, is supported by older operating systems only, Server 2003, Server 2000 XP, and so on. File FAT32 is supported in Windows Server 2012 or 2. NTFS is supported in Server 2012 or 2. NTFS has many advantages over FAT and FAT32. They include the following. Compression help compact files or folders to allow for more efficient use of hard drive space. For example, a file that usually takes up 20 MB of space might use only 13 MB after compression. To enable compression, just open the Advanced Attributes dialog box for a folder and check the Compress to Contents to save disk space. See box, see figure 4.2. Quotas allow you to limit how much drive space users can have on a server. Encryption file system, EFS, allows a user or administrator to secure files or folders by using encryption. Encryption employs the user's security identification SID number to secure the file or folder. To implement encryption, open the Advanced Attributes dialog box for a folder and check the Encrypt Contents to Secure data box. Security. One of the biggest advantages of NTFS is security. Security is one of the most important aspects of an IT administrator's job. An advantage of NTFS security is that the security can be placed on individual files or folders. It does not matter whether you are local to the share or remote to the share, coming across the network to access the data. The security is always in place with NTFS. The default security permission equals users read on new folders, and shares NTFS security is additive. In other words, if you are a member of three groups, marketing, sales, and R&D, and these three groups have different security settings, you get the highest level of permissions. For example, let's say you have a user by the name of WPANEK who belongs to all three groups, marketing, sales, and R&D. Figure 4.4 shows this user's permissions. The marketing group has read and execute permissions to the Telecom documents folder. The sales group has read and write, and the R&D group has full control. Since WPANEK is a member of all three groups, WPANEK will get full control, the highest level. The only time this does not apply is with the deny permission. Deny overrides any other group setting. Taking the same example, if sales has deny permission for the Telecom documents folder, the user WAPNEC will be denied access to that folder. The only way around this deny is if you added WAPNEC directly to the folder and gave him individual permissions. See figure 4.5. Individual permissions override a deny group. In this example, the individual right of WAPNEC would override the sales group's denied. The user security's permission for the Telecom documents folder will be full control. Understanding shared permissions. When you set up a shared folder to be shared, you have the ability to decide to assign that folder's permission. Shared permissions can be placed only to the folder and not on individual files. Files have the ability to inherit their permissions from the parent folder. Shared folder permissions are in effect only when users are remote to the shared data. In other words, if computer A shares a folder called downloads and assigns that folder shared permissions, those permissions would apply only if you connected to that share from a machine other than computer A. If you were sitting in front of computer A, the shared permissions would not apply. Like NTFS permissions discussed in previous sections, shared permissions are additive, so users receive the highest level of permissions granted by the groups of which they are members. Also, as with NTFS permissions, the deny permission overrides any group permission, and an individual permission overrides a group deny. The different shared permission is administrators equals full control. The shared permissions going to the lowest to highest are read, change, full control, and deny. Table 4.2 compares the two different types of permissions and security. How NTFS security and shared permissions work together. When you set up a shared folder, you need to set up shared permissions on that folder. If you're using NTFS, you will also need to set up NTFS security on the folder. Since both shared permissions and NTFS security are in effect when the user is remote, what happens when the two conflict? There are two basic rules of thumb. The local permissions is the NTFS permission. The remote permission is the more restrictive set of permissions between NTFS and shared. This is easy to do as long as you do it in steps. Let's take a look at figure 4.7 and walk through the process of figuring out what WAPNet has rights for. As you can see, WAPNet belongs to three groups: marketing, sales, and R&D, and all three groups have settings for the Stellacom documents folder. In this figure, you will notice that there are two questions: remote equals question mark and local equals question mark. That's what you need to figure out. What are WAPNet's effective permissions when he is sitting at the computer that shares the folder, and what are his effective permissions when he connects to the folder from another computer remotely. To figure this out, follow these steps. 1. Add up the permissions on each side separately. Remember, permissions and security are additive. You get the highest permissions. So if you look at each side, the highest shared permission is the read permission. The NTFS security side should add up to equal full control. Thus, now you have read permissions on shared and full control on NTFS. To determine the local permissions, shared permissions do not apply when you are local to the data. Only NTFS would apply. Thus, the local permission will be full control. 3. Determine the remote permissions. Remember, the remote permission is the most restrictive set of permissions between NTFS and shared. Since read is more restrictive than full control, the remote permission will be read. Remember, when you first add up each side to get the highest level of rights, NTFS will be read and shared would be full control. The local permissions is always just NTFS. Shared does not apply to local permissions, and remote permission is whichever permission, NTFS or shared, is the most restrictive, which would be read on the NTFS side. Exercise 4.5 walks you through the process of setting up both NTFS and shared permissions. Exercise 4.5, configuring shared and NTFS permissions. 1. Right-click the test share folder you created in exercise 4.1. Choose properties, click the sharing tab, and then click on the advanced sharing button. You will see the sharing permissions first. 3. Click the permissions button, click add. When select the user page appears, choose a group from Active Directory. I use the sales group. Once you find the sales group, click OK. The permissions dialog box appears. Whether your group highlighted, click the allow checkbox to full control, click OK. All of the other allow checkboxes will become automatically checked. One advantage sharing page, on the advanced sharing page, click OK. Now click the security tab. This allows you to set the NTFS security settings. 6, click the edit button. This takes you to the permissions page. Click the add button. When the select user page appears, choose a group from Active Directory. I use the everyone group. Once you find your group, choose OK. The permissions dialog box appears with your group highlighted. Click the Allow checkbox next to Modify and click OK. All of the checkboxes below Modify will automatically become checked. 8. Click Close. Configuring disk quotas. In this chapter so far, you have seen how to set up a share and publish it to Active Directory. You also learned how to set up permissions and security and how NTFS are shared and permissions work with each other. It's time to learn how to limit users' hard drive space on the servers. Disk quotas give administrators the ability to limit how much storage space a user can have on a hard drive. As mentioned earlier in this chapter, disk quotas are an advantage of using NTFS over FAT32. If you decide to use FAT32 on a volume or partition, quotas will not be available. You have a few options available to you when you set up disk quotas. You can set up disk quotas based on volume or on users. Setting quotas up by volume. One way to set up disk quotas is by setting the quota by volume on a per volume basis. This means that if you have a hard drive with C, D, and E volumes, you would set up 3 individual quotas, one for each volume. This is your umbrella. This is where you set up an entire disk quota based on the volume for all users. Setting quotas per user. You have the ability to set up quotas on volumes by user. Here is where you would individually let users have independent quotas that exceed your umbrella quotas. Specifying quota entries. You use quota entries to configure the volume and user quotas. You do this on the Quotas tab of the Volume Properties dialog box. Creating quota templates. Quota templates are predefined ways to set up quotas. Templates allow you to set up disk quotas without needing to create a disk quota from scratch. One advantage of using a template is that when you want to set up disk quotas on multiple volumes, C, D, and E on the same hard drive, you need to recreate the quota on each volume. Exercise 4.6 will allow you to set up an umbrella quota for all users and then have an individual account in your Active Directory exceed this quota. Exercise 4.6, configuring disk quotas. Open Windows Explorer, right-click Local Disk C, choose Properties, click the Quotas tab. Check the Enable Quota Management checkbox. Also check the Deny Disk Space to users exceeding quota limit box. Click the Limit Disk Space to option and enter 1000 MB in the box. Enter 750 MB in the set warning level to boxes. Click the Apply button. If a warning box appears, click OK. This warning is just informing you that the disk may need to be rescanned for the quota. 8. Now that you have set up an umbrella quota to cover everyone, you'll set up a quota that exceeds the umbrella. Click the Quotas Entry button. 9. The quota entries for C window appears. You will see some users already listed. There are users who are already using space on the volume. Click the quota menu at the top and choose New Quota Entry. Notice the NA entry in the percent use column. This belongs to the administrator account, which by default has no limit. 10. On the Select User page, choose a user that you want to allow to exceed the quota. For this example, I use the WAPNEC account. Click OK. 11. This opens the Add New Quota Entry dialog box. Click the Do Not Limit disk usage option and click OK. You will notice that the new user has no limit. Close the disk quota tool. Configuring print services. One of the most important components of a network is the printer. Printers today are almost as important as the computers themselves. Think about your network. What would your network be like without a printer? Even small networks or home networks have a printer today. How many printers do you want on your network? It is not feasible to put a printer on everyone's desk. What if some users need black and white while others need color? Do you give each user two printers? What if they need laser printing for reports, but inkjets will work fine for every other type of print job? These are all the questions that you must answer before buying any printers for your networks. This is also where network printers and print servers come into play. Network printers are printers that can be directly connected to the network through some form of network interface card. These printers usually have settings that can be configured for your network needs. For example, if your network uses DHCP, you can set the printer to be a DHCP client. Print servers are servers that have a connected printer where the server handles all printing issues. This is an excellent solution for printers that cannot directly connect to the network. Once the printer is connected to the network through the use of an NIC or a server, the end user just connects to the printer and prints. To the end user, there is no real difference between the 2 points. Before an end user can print to a network printer, an administrator must connect, set up, share, and publish the printer for use. An administrator must also set permissions on the printer to allow users to print to that printer. The following sections will discuss these items in detail. Creating and publishing printers. Once your printer is installed, you must share the printer and then publish the printer to Active Directory before the users can print to it. Printers can be published easily within Active Directory. This makes them available to users in your domain. Exercise 4.7 walks you through the steps you need to take to share and publish a printer object by having you create and share a printer. To complete the printer installation, you need access to the Windows Server 2012 installation via hard disk, a network share, or the CD/DVD drive. If you do not have a printer for this exercise, just choose one from the list and continue the exercise. Exercise 4.7, creating and publishing a printer. 1. Press the Windows key and select Control Panel, Devices and Printers. Add printer. This starts the Add Printer wizard. 2. On the Add Printer page, click the link. The printer that I want isn't listed. 3. Choose Add a Local Printer. Click Next. 4. On the Choose a Printer port page, select Use an Existing Port from the drop-down list beside that option. Make sure LPT1 printer port is selected. Click Next. 5. On the Install the Printer drive page, select Generic for the manufacturer, and for the printer, highlight Generic text only. Click Next. 6. If a driver page appears, choose Use the driver that is currently installed and click Next. 7. On the Type a Printer name page, enter Text Printer. Uncheck the Set as the Default Printer box and then click Next. 8. The Installing Printer page appears after the system is finished. The printer sharing page appears. Make sure the share this printer so that other users on your network can find and use it box is selected and accept the default share name of the text printer. In the location section, type building 203. In the comments section, add the following comment: this is a text only printer. Click Next. 10. On the You've successfully added text printer page, click Finish. 11. Next, you need to verify that the printer will be listed in Active Directory. Right-click the text printer icon and select Text Printer Properties. 12. Select the Sharing tab. Make sure that the list in the directory box is checked. Click OK to accept the settings. 13. Close the printer's property dialog box and close devices and printers. Note that when you create and share a printer this way, an Active Directory printer object is not displayed within Active Directory users and computers tool. Configuring printers. The printer has now been installed and published to Active Directory. It's time to set all of the different configuration options. To get to the options, right-click the printer object and choose Properties. The following are just some of the tabs you can configure. The General tab allows you to do the same basic printer attributes. The field at the top of the dialog box contains the display name of the printer object. The location field should contain text that helps users physically locate the printer. This allows users to search for printers based on the location-aware printing. The comment field allows an administrator to put in any additional information, such as the printer type. The printing preferences button takes you to controls that allow you to change the layout and paper type of printer. The sharing tab allows you to configure your printer for sharing on your network. This is what allows users to use the network printer if they have the proper permissions on the printer. The share this printer check box allows you to share the printer on the network. The share name is the name your users will see on the network. When render print jobs on the client computers is checked, the client computer caches the print job until the printer is ready to print. If unchecked, the print server will cache the entire job before it prints to the printer. When list in the directory is checked, users can search the directory for the printer. The additional drivers button allows you to load additional drivers for your clients. It is especially useful for giving access to drivers for older client systems. One advantage of a print server is that the server will automatically download drivers to client computers. The port tab allows you to configure the port to which your printer is connected. You can add ports or configure existing ports. The port check box allows you to choose to which port your printer is connected. Options are the print port, serial port, local port, and print to file port. The add port button allows you to add a custom port, for example, a TCP IP port. The delete port allows you to remove a port from the port list. The configure port button gives you settings to configure an existing port. For example, if you use TCP IP, this button allows you to change the TCP IP options. Enable bidirectional support allows your printer and computer to communicate back and forth. If this checkbox is disabled, your printer cannot support two-way communications. A printer pool allows two or more identical printers to share the print load. When a document is sent to the printer pool, the first available printer receives the print job and prints it. Enable printer pooling allows a large department or organization to get print jobs done faster. Users do not have to wait for one printer to get their print job. You should follow these rules when setting up a printer pool. All printers in the pool need to be the same model and type. All printers in the pool should be in the same physical location. Print jobs will be printed to the first available printer. If these printers are located all over the company, it may take a user too long to find their print job. The Advanced tab is where you set availability, priority, and other options. The availability controls lets you set hours when the printer can be used. You can set it to be always available or available only between hours you set. If multiple print shares are set to go to the same printer, you can specify a printer priority with the priority field for each share. The higher the number, the faster the print job sent to that share will access the printer. The highest priority is 99 and the default lowest is 1. If 2 users send jobs to the same printer at the same time, the one with the 99 priority and the other with a priority of 1, the 99 priority would print first. The driver is the default print driver that the printer is using. The print spooling controls lets you decide how the print job will spool. You can choose to have the entire job spool first before printing. This ensures that the entire job is received by the print queue before printing to start printing immediately while the job is still spooling, or to print directly to the printer without spooling. The last option requires a printer with a large amount of RAM on the motherboard. Hold mismatched documents allows the spooler to hold any print jobs that don't match the setup for the print device. Print spooled documents first allows a completely spooled print job to be printed first, even if it has a lower priority number than a job that is still pooling. Usually, after a print job has been printed, the print queue deletes the print job. If you check the keep printed documents box, the print queue will not delete the print job after it is printed. Enable advanced printing features allows you to get some advanced features such as the page order and pages per sheet settings. The color management tab allows you to adjust the colors of your printing jobs. The security tab is where you set permissions for your printer. This allows users to print, manage printers, manage documents, and take advantage of special permissions. The add button allows you to add users and groups to the printer. The remove button allows you to remove users and groups from the printer. The following controls are available in the permissions for everyone box to apply to everyone on your network. Print gives everyone the right to print to this printer. Manage printers gives everyone the right to manage this printer, including delete printing jobs, setting priorities, setting availability, and so on. Manage documents gives everyone the right to manage print jobs. Special permissions allows you to set unique permissions such as print, manage, printers, read permissions, change permissions, and take ownership. Okay, I'm going to leave it here this evening for this video. If you like listening, please consider like, sharing, and subscribing. Thank you.